Hello again, friends. Welcome back to Synity's Platform Focus Series, where we discuss the capabilities, products, and modules that make up Synity's industry-leading enterprise data management platform, the Synity Knowledge Platform. I'm Kevin Gully, the head of product marketing at Synity, and today we're going to be talking data quality. Synity is currently in Gartner's Magic Quadrant on data quality for the fourth year running. And to get into the details of our solution and how we deliver business value around data quality, I'm pleased to be joined today by John Green, the Senior Director of Product Management at Synity, who spearheads the management of our data quality solutions. Thanks for joining me today, John.
Thanks, Kevin.
Well, it's great to have you here. I'm really excited about this topic because, as I mentioned, we're going to be talking about data quality today and why Synity's solution, which is an integrated component of our overall data management platform, the Synity Knowledge Platform, is so well respected in the industry. So maybe you can start by giving us a quick overview or a definition of data quality from your perspective.
Sure. Let me start with a few sentences around that. So the solutions we have around data quality are really in the area, should I say, of monitoring, reporting, and remediating data quality. So it's not just about knowing that you've got a problem; it's about being able to fix that and being able to route that data to the relevant people that own that data to fix that data effectively. We're looking here not only just informational data quality, but also error management and then metric-based EQ as well. So knowing that you've got KPIs, etc., within the business that you want to track and you want to improve for specific reasons. We're looking to take customers from a very basic level of validity, so technically valid data, through to really taking that through to what we class as sort of level 5, and we'll sort of talk through those various steps, but taking it up to a level 5 where it's really a fully validated data set that is authorized and relevant to the business processes that it's looking to support. And then also we're looking from our data quality, and due to the Synity Knowledge Platform and its wider data management perspective, we're looking at how that can be focused on specific project-based initiatives or then into business as usual processing. When I talk about project-based, I'm talking about maybe a migration activity where we're looking to run data quality from a source data cleansing perspective to know that a system is ready to be migrated in or consolidated into a target system. Or we're running it alongside a master data management program where it's part of a larger data governance initiative where we want to run data quality initially against the data sets to look for duplication, cleansing opportunities, etc., that support the business, but also as runs alongside our master data management capabilities where we will be actually then authoring customers, vendors, materials, finance objects, etc., under that bigger and wider data management picture.
I think it's a very interesting thing you just brought up, which is the idea of our unified capabilities, right? Where data quality plays a role across multiple different data processes, data projects that the company can be working on. And that's one of the real reasons that our solution is so powerful, that unified capability. There may be a number of people out there who roughly know what data quality is, but don't really know about the building blocks perhaps and make up a data quality a solution or product. So I was hoping maybe you could walk us through quickly the primary components or capabilities that make up our DQ solution.
Yeah, sure. So there's a couple of elements really, or two main elements to this. So the Synity Knowledge Platform is made up of two main elements, which is the Synity Knowledge tier, and then it's the Synity Stewardship tier. The Stewardship tier is where we execute our data quality. It's where our technical rules would be executed. It's where we schedule that rule execution. It's where the workflow, the notification, and the remediation processing occurs. And then we've got the knowledge tier, which is really the business focus area, where we would take the business rules around data quality that we're looking to implement, and we'd be tying those back through various data policies. So maybe those are regulatory policies, or maybe those are internal compliance policies, or whatever reason we're defining those. But also tying those back to business initiatives and business goals. So what are the KPIs? What are we driving towards as a business? And what's the reason for caring about data quality? There's no point in just caring about data quality for the sake of improving data. It needs to have a value. It needs to have a purpose and support a wider business initiative. Maybe we're looking at customer retention, or we're looking at new product initiatives where we're introducing new product launches. And these are very important areas where data quality is going to support those business initiatives.
You know, it's interesting you say that. So that's some potential really interesting strategic goals that a company is going for, and they start realizing data quality may be an issue and helping them achieve that. You know, from your seat, having helped, you know, many companies through the challenges of data quality improvement, have you seen common challenges or problems that companies find themselves facing that they sort of recognize, like, oh my gosh, I really need to start executing on a DQ solution here?
Yeah, we're certainly seeing, well, there's certainly certain areas that we'll see. Certainly if it comes down to system migrations and consolidations, a hot topic at the moment, with obviously with our focus as well on the SAP landscape and our other partners in that area. But anyone migrating or consolidating their ERP landscape are going to be very interested in customer, vendor, and specifically if we take S4 as an example, then moving that to a business partner model, there's going to be that need from a quality perspective of deduplication, cleansing of your customers and vendors, and an alignment of that, and bringing those together under that business partner concept that we're talking about there. There's also going to be always a need for compliance enforcement, whether that's in a heavily regulated industries where we're having to do compliance in regards to FDA or GXP under our pharmaceutical customers around that. Or it could be more in our retail sector where we're looking at things like product launches, etc., where we want to potentially standardize on article descriptions or material descriptions that are being used that have maybe been just a free text entry concept that we've had previously, that we now want to align to have standardized approaches to that, so we can use them to characterize things and to categorize elements or articles, as I say, or materials in that process. So those are sort of three areas where we see common, I guess, challenges that we see with customers.
Right, and some good use cases as well, as far as you know, the way that they start implementing and why they're implementing it to reach, to your point, those business goals that they're trying to achieve as a company. So let's pivot a little bit, because you've already alluded to some of these things, but let's talk about users a little bit, because with all these different capabilities and the complexity of the projects that these folks are working on from a data you know, management perspective, there must be multiple types of users, business users, you know, technical users that are included in the data quality effort. So maybe you can talk us through what those types of users are, how the Syntegy quality or data quality platform supports them.
Yeah, sure. So I think there's a number of areas where it supports them. I think one of the major areas, if we look at it from a business perspective, is understanding the business impact, as I said, and that's really where we're looking at it to make sure that we're tying that and we're able to show through an IT program, like a data quality program normally is seen as, is the investment that's being made, is paying back to the business. So tying that back to the goals and the initiatives are where the business users are going to get value, and whether that's at the senior management level, as I say, you probably are just looking at the goals and initiatives, or from a business perspective, it's also about making it an effective process. And what I mean by that is putting the right, or maybe the data that's failing, the data that's wrong, but putting that data in the right hands in the business. So making sure that data is filtered and is directed correctly to those business users, because what you want to do is minimize the impact on the business, not only from the data, obviously the data itself, but the resolution of the data. So you don't want someone having to spend hours of time a week or a day or whatever looking at the data quality. You want them to have a very efficient process. You want them to be able to review and approve data changes very quickly and automate the posting of that data back into your source and target systems, etc., to resolve the issue. From a technical perspective, you want a platform that allows very quickly to build those technical rules. And we'll have another session talking about the DQ Jumpstart capability, which brings a suite of those rules already categorized under specific business processes that can be dropped into this platform to give you exactly what it says, a jumpstart or kickstart to the project, which shows you can take from a very small beginnings and a very focused, maybe a departmental data quality approach, and then open that out wider by showing value immediately or very quickly on that data quality initiative. And we've got our SIs that also position and utilize our Jumpstart capabilities, but also utilize the platform. And our consultants and the SIs, to a certain extent, are using this as well, a lot of the times as a precursor to a migration effort, where we're looking to assess the quality of the data in the source systems to say this system is, we're either aware of the data quality issues that are in there, which there will be some, at least there always are some, but also the impact and the sizing of that. And we can also potentially put that in as a sort of precursor to that migration activity and for that source to be started included into that. So by making sure that it's of a level of data quality that supports the migration effort we're about to enter into.
Yeah, it's very interesting. You've sort of just bounced around with a few things, but the idea of a precursor to a major project that you're undertaking, also a particular area of process inside the business that you want to make a significant improvement on, or a particular functional area inside the business that wants to take ownership of their data quality and make sure that they get improvement there, right? So there's multiple on-roads for these businesses to be able to start taking advantage of data quality. And the platform sounds like it gives all the flexibility they need to be able to take that up with whatever initiative they're really interested in focusing on.
Yeah, exactly right. And I think it really does depend on the sort of use case we're walking into and we're hearing from the business. And as I say, some of our customers, just from the history of our company, where we come from that migration background, and obviously we have a number of partners that use our software in that space, then that source data cleansing, potential data cleansing after a poor migration, we want to obviously catch this as early as we can, but in certain situations we've been involved too late in the process. Maybe we're coming in to rescue a migration sort of mid-process, in which case we need to assess the quality of the data in the target system as well. But what we're trying to do with all of this is, avoid business interruptions caused by bad data, whether that's, as I say, a consolidation exercise, or it's a product launch, or even if it's a mass data maintenance scenario where somebody wants a tooling put in place to allow them to provide mass updates to data rather than someone, interactively typing into a keyboard each time. They've got an ability to do a mass data change on that. Maybe, as I say, because it's a categorization of a set of articles, or a change to the product hierarchy, or even an organizational change if we're talking about sort of HCM data quality and in that human capital management space, then you've got the ability to very quickly make those changes to restructure and to assess against that target structure that we're looking to apply.
Right. So a lot of flexibility and a lot of power there. Let's take a couple of moments before we switch over to talking about benefits. I did want to have a chance to just talk about the tech related to our data quality solution a little bit. Specifically, what should businesses know about deploying the data quality aspects of the SKP, or any other things that you feel are really important people should know just at a top level about the data quality solution from Syntegy?
Sure. So the data quality execution, as I said, resides in the stewardship tier at the moment. We've got plans to move that into the cloud element. So the stewardship tier itself can be deployed either with an on-premise deployment or through the cloud edition. So you've got two options there in how you can deploy the actual data quality engine that is, as I say, running the data quality rules, the scheduling, the notification, the workflow capability. And that just sits alongside our migration and master data management capabilities, which again can be deployed in the same way, either on-premise or cloud. And then you've got the business-focused aspect, as I say, goals, initiatives, policies, rules, and business glossaries to help define and refine and provide context to the rules that we're capturing, etc., as well as a data cataloging capability around the systems and data sets that this is going to be applied to. All of that is stored within our knowledge tier, which is a multi-tenant cloud. So it's a true cloud product. There's nothing to install. You would be given a tenant, you're given access to that tenant, and that is then configured via an agent capability that talks to the stewardship tier, and those two platforms communicate with each other to provide that single solution. So we've got on-premise and cloud hosted solutions for the stewardship tier, and then we've got that multi-tenant cloud capability for the knowledge tier.
And with that said, I can imagine, especially with that cloud tier and the business rules and all the kind of great stuff up in there, there's a lot of visibility and a lot of insights that are available to executives and people who are going to be really interested in sort of the outcomes that we're having here. So that's actually a good way to be able to shift over to the idea of benefits. And I'd like to sort of briefly go over, the benefits from a user's perspective as well as the benefits from the company's perspective. But let's start with users. You mentioned there's a whole variety of different stakeholders that can be involved in sort of a data quality initiative, depending on what the goals are and what the company's working towards. From a user's perspective, are there key benefits that you see the users getting when they utilize Synity's data quality solutions?
Yeah, so that from a technical perspective, you're providing a tool set that utilizes, well-known techniques, etc. It is using SQL capabilities to be able to run those rules, and those rules can be run on our platform. So they're running on stage data that is pulled into our platform from remote systems, sources, targets, etc., whatever they are. But also with the capabilities we've got in the latest releases of that, you can run those rules against other systems where the data is sitting in situ, but using those same very simple SQL techniques for building those rules out. So you could be running that against an S3 source where we've got a file-based system, or a file-based system on some of the hyperscalers, etc. around this. Or you could be running against a HANA system and running those rules directly on the HANA system rather than pulling that data in, because obviously we could be dealing with large volumes of data. We don't want to have to stage that data in those sort of scenarios. So from a technical perspective, we're providing a single tooling to allow you to monitor, to report, and to put in place a remediation capability. So really that full cycle that we've talked about in being able to sort of monitor, report, and remediate, to combine that and to allow that to then become sort of business as usual. So you're continually monitoring that cycle and running around that. From a business perspective, it's really about giving them the data in the format that they're wanting to see it in, rather than a very technical format. We can have it translated, the column headings, etc., from rather than technical fields into their language of choice. But also it allows them to focus on which columns they need, which data set they're looking at, and also it's not only that sort of vertical view of that, but it's also the horizontal aspect of this, of looking at it and saying, I only care about UK data. Kevin, you're only going to care about North American data. So making sure we only look at the data that is effective for us to resolve those issues about, and not to be swamped with the whole of the global data set that we're being reported on. And a lot of the tools that we see in this area don't give that ability to sort of fragment that data down and to burst that data out into reporting, to allow us to then see just the focused areas that we want to focus on, and therefore saving us time, saving us effort, and providing us a very efficient way of resolving the data that is applicable.
Right. And I would imagine, from a company perspective, once the business users and the technical users are working together, the data owners are working together to make sure that they're getting the sort of improvements here, there's going to be a lot of really positive business outcomes and business benefits. And obviously we're always driving towards that with all of our clients in every project we do. But I'm sure there's a couple of good stories or points that you want to make around, what are the benefits to the companies of Decupe? Because there's big challenges here. And when you start fixing these, I would imagine there's really great outcomes.
Yeah, it's obviously a difficult one to do with some of the return on investment stuff, because they're specific to these use cases and specific cases for customers. But certainly, let's take an example like data quality affecting the adoption of migrated systems, etc. We see that a lot. We hear that a lot from customers where they've tried to migrate. They haven't had a focus on data quality, and it's kind of data quality is a bigger thing. We have a data quality solution we're talking about here today, but data quality underpins everything that really Synity does. And it's what we've always been about, making sure that data is relevant, making sure that it's authorized, making sure that it's approved and it's signed off as part of that business, whether it's a migration, whether it's master data management, whether it's specifically just the data quality topic that we're talking about. But it does affect the adoption of systems. If you start having poor data quality in your target system, you haven't done that focus on cleansing the data, deduplicating your customers, your vendors, etc. It's going to have a knock-on effect. And it has a knock-on effect on your employees in the fact they don't trust the system. But it's also having a knock-on effect potentially to your vendors, but certainly to customers. And it could be to your product launches as well around this area. If the quality is not there, you could have recalls going on, etc. From a customer perspective, you could be duplicating on communication. You could be not offering discounting capabilities because you haven't cleansed those customers and found that they're actually a single customer. And likewise for your vendors as well, you may be missing out on discounting from your own perspective if you're not looking at that and trying to understand the data quality you have around the purchasing piece.
Right. So data quality seems like it can actually provide opportunity to hone in on areas where you're missing opportunity, and suddenly you're oh my gosh, there's a process improvement effort that we can make here just through this data quality findings that allow us to find hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars in potential savings, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's clients I've worked with where we say we've paid for the project tenfold in the first small findings that we found. And if that doesn't happen all the time, but you can certainly have had that. We've had that on the vendor side where we found that basically we hadn't realized that we were purchasing from the same vendor in different countries. And actually by amalgamating that together, we were able to improve and see that we should have been qualifying for a big discount rate on the purchasing process that was going through. And, there was material savings straight away from seeing that. The other aspect of this is really tying it back to the goals and initiatives around there. But with the Jumpstart, as I say, we'll talk about that on another session, but you can start very small on this and prove the value of data quality to a specific department, whether that's coming in and working specifically on a HCM department or specifically targeting finance or particularly ordering maybe the order to cash process, etc., and looking at those specific areas. You can show very quickly the value of the business of finding out that and find the sort of nuggets, I would call them, of data quality that are going to show to the business that there is value in putting these processes in place. And then what you'll find, and what we found with many of our customers, is that those departments will start selling internally for you to their other departments because they've seen the benefits straight away or very quickly in that very short return, and can start really being your own marketing department, for want of a better word, of selling the solution internally. So we prove value very quickly by doing that using this platform, and then allowing us to expand within the business into the other areas, obviously as well into the wider data governance, migration, master data management cases.
Well, the better your data is, the more nimble you can be, the better outcomes you're going to get. Our data quality solution, as you said, is a key component of everything we do. And having businesses take advantage of this is only going to benefit them in significant ways. So, John, I really appreciate your time today. Thanks for taking the time to sort of walk us through this. And I look forward to speaking with you again soon.
No problems. Thanks, Kevin. Thank you.
Take care, John.